encounter.
Good knowledge,
It feels very
Hello and welcome to the Unwanted Opinion Podcast, the show in which me and my friends give our unwanted opinions on all things film. My name is Lewis and I'm joined today with Kyle.
Hello, how you doing?
Good after a multitude of takes. For some reason I'm
just
flopping today. I can't
you
do
just
my
lost
intro.
it, yeah, honestly. I've never seen you struggle that much with the intro.
And not since actually, Kyle, the very first episode we ever did of this, it took me, how long? It took so long.
Well, it was
to get
also
the intro
because
right.
you were trying to like figure out how to say it and then like keep it repetitive. And it's the same with the ending.
Yeah.
You did struggle
Because I
with the
remember
ending
we
a
did
few
the first
times.
episode together in your house, and you guys were
that
making
was
me
an
laugh
absolute
as well.
an absolute pain though, because we were trying to get the microphone set
Oh,
up.
yeah, it was a
I was
disaster.
making you sit at the completely opposite end of the room.
Yeah,
and I was
yeah.
like, it worked out well when we did it in the shed that couple of times. That
Yes, the
worked
old-
out.
the old
Actually,
shed
not.
podcast,
Yeah,
that was good.
that was actually quite handy. But
Yeah,
that was painful how it.
yeah. the original was, and I just couldn't do it. It took like 20 minutes to get the show actually started. But anyway, I'm a
Yes.
veteran of this until for some reason episode 145 I can't do the intro anymore. But yeah, no Gonthal today. I don't actually know why. The guy lives his own life.
He's a free spirit. I believe he has
He's
a
a free
barbecue to
spirit.
go to, and
Right, that's it.
he
That's
cannot make it.
it. Barbecue on a Tuesday, whatever.
Well, you don't know.
The life of a party animal, I guess. But yes, on today's episode, to commemorate the release of Disclosure Day, which releases in the UK tomorrow, June 10th, we are going to be talking about Spielberg. So, me and Kel are going to go through. I mean, we're not going to talk about every Spielberg film, otherwise we'll be here. This will be like a 10-part saga, because the guy's been working for over 50 years in the film industry. But how it's going to operate is, me and Kyle are going to talk about our favourite Spielberg film, then our least favourite. We're going to go for the most overrated Spielberg film, and then talk about our most underrated Spielberg film. And there could be some crossovers there. But yeah, I mean, I don't know what Kyle's list is. He doesn't know what mine is.
Kyle doesn't know what his list is. Kyle is.
Kyle doesn't know what his list is.
It has to say that I think behind me, obviously, I've got my kind of 4K collection, and I think
Yes.
Spielberg is definitely up there with as many 4Ks I have of his work. He's up there, and probably him, Nolan, and probably Tarantino, just because I like his stuff. But Spielberg is one of those guys that I would usually say you'd never bet against them.
Never.
But there's we'll talk.
We'll get to that.
There
yeah,
may
for
be
sure.
some, but he's definitely one of those directors that just I don't know how he does it, and I don't know how he consistently does it. Because obviously we said we did a breakdown of Nolan's work a couple of years ago for the Odyssey breakdown, and it's funny. Look, it's Oppenheimer, sorry, and it's
We'll
kind of
do it
funny.
again for Odyssey.
We'll do it again. It's funny because he's got a body of work, Nolan, nothing like this. Because obviously I know Spielberg's been going a lot longer than the guy,
Yes,
but
yes.
see, just looking back, I'm like, oh my god, just.
But
you
he
know,
would just, I mean, Spielberg would release like 2 classics in the same year, sort of thing. Like,
Yeah.
his work rate is remarkable.
it's like, what was it, kind of like the 90s and stuff?
1993 was Jurassic Park and Schindler's List in the same year.
Exactly, yeah.
Like, that's unbelievable.
And
how
it's
you can do that.
kind of insane, especially when some of these films are like ridiculously big films. Like,
yeah.
like I'm saying, like doing Jurassic Park's obviously quite an intensive film to kind of film, and then Schindler's List is obviously a very emotional film to then do. Like, I can imagine sort of like I don't know what other films has he done at the same time. I would say match. It's kind of hard. He always seems to do like a
think he
really
did,
intensive
Hook
one.
around that time, weirdly enough, and then
Hook was 91. Yeah, but
Yeah,
like I'm
Hook
saying,
was
like
before that.
he kind of does like, because in 2005 he did War of the Worlds and then Munich. So he always does one
Yeah, in
kind
the
of like
same year.
very intensive, like maybe like CG action heavy, and then a more kind of
political,
emotional
Yeah.
piece. He's an interesting guy. I mean, he's
Yeah,
an
absolutely.
insanely
That's-
talented man.
That's the thing. I mean, like, if you were to say, like, people... I think, most people have, like, a top 10 list of films, right?
Yeah.
And 80% of people you come across, there's going to be, like, a Spielberg film on that list somewhere.
I think
you know?
you're so right. I mean, there's the kind of cliches of Indie, Saving Private Ryan, Jurassic
for sure.
Park, Jaws.
I mean, that's
I say cliches, but they're just good.
Yeah, exactly. It seems like such a safe pick, but then you watch the films, you're like, no, they're fantastic.
Yeah. And yeah, I would definitely. Yeah, I mean, we can just jump in, man, because this is too much to talk about.
I'll just say Gonzalo's favorite Spielberg film is Jurassic Park, and I remember last time we talked about Jurassic Park on the show, Gonzalo talked a lot about Jurassic Park.
I mean,
he knows so much about the making of that film and everything that went behind it.
I mean, think about it, man. Jurassic Park was just an absolutely incredible piece of work at the time.
Yeah.
I mean, the decision not to go CGI for a lot of the stuff was incredible.
Yeah.
I mean, I say that they did do CGI. There was obviously CGI dinosaurs,
Yes,
but there's a lot of practical
front,
elements as well that I think really helped the kind of blend of it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's something I miss actually is like, why can't we do 50-50 and make stuff like practical and then CGI? It's like I don't know, but yeah, how about we just jump in? Do we want to?
Okay, so
what do we want to do? Do we go jump in on a high, a low, an over?
I want to
and
jump
under?
in on a high. And then we'll just do least favorite, and then overrated, underrated. I think we'll go in that order. Okay, so. Mine's a toss-up. I don't know if this is kind of cheating. I can't decide. They're my favourites for two very different reasons. So one of them, of course, being Jaws, the 1975 classic. Look, everyone knows about Jaws. Everyone knows it was cited as like the creation of the blockbuster. Queues outside the doors and outside the cinemas around the corners to try and get to see this film. It was one that notoriously was filmed with quite a low budget, and everyone knew the shark never worked, and how did that actually change the film? Is it better because you don't see the shark? And that's kind of the thing that became a big character study on the three guys. And look, I've seen Jaws like I actually can't even count how many times I've seen Jaws. I think I've seen it like once every year for the past 10 or 12 years, maybe.
Is it a summer? Is it a summer film for you? Because obviously,
for me, it absolutely is like a summer film, because I saw it again last year for its 50th anniversary in the cinema, in the GFT, which is great. That's like a great like kind of old school cinema feel as well.
I really like the
seeing
GFT
that on like 35mm. It was fantastic, and it was just the thing is about Jaws as well. I feel like once I've watched it, I could sit back down like a few hours later and watch it again. It's like so rewatchable, and Spielberg has that quality in so many of his films that they are just so. They have this blockbuster quality. They get you so invested in the stories. In the story, and they go at such a great pace that you feel like you can go again. You feel like you've been in for a ride, and it's fantastic.
And maybe that's why. So obviously, if nobody knows, Jaws was famously the first ever summer blockbuster. Right, everybody thinks it was Star Wars. It wasn't. Jaws actually came out first. I mean, how many years?
4 years prior.
4 years prior.
Yeah, 3 or 4.
77. 77.
So 2 years prior.
2 years prior.
I was getting confused with that and Alien for some
reason. No, sorry. 2 years prior, Jaws was the first. What coined the phrase summer blockbuster, and I think that's probably was one of the first films that people would love to go see multiple times because, like you say. It's so rewatchable. You can jump back in, and especially because at the time, I'm not saying it's dated, but when you look back and you watch the shark, you can obviously see the plasterine falling off of it, and it's just it's the love of it, but knowing there's that obviously that the perfect scene where Brody's chucking in the chum into the water, and there's a brief second where the shark pops up. So there's so many people who are going, I want to go back and know that scene's happening and look more at the shark. There's stuff like that I really feel people would love to have done, and I think that's what made it so huge. Yeah.
But like speaking on the thing about the shark, right? And what Spielberg did so well in that film is having, you've got Martin Brody, you've got Quint, and you've got Hooper as well, who are your three leads, okay? And I mean, obviously I know it's based off a book. Prior to that, I've not read the book. I actually don't know many people who have read the book of Jaws, right? Everyone kind of knows it for the film. But it's the character dynamics between all three of them, okay? You've got the new sheriff in town, who's Martin Brody, right? Played by Roy Schneider, right? And he's new to town. He's got a weird fear of the ocean, perfect literal almost fish out of water story. He's used to be a New York cop, and now he's thrown into this small town life. And then you've got, of course, Hooper, who is like the college educated rich kid dealing with the, ex-military Quint, who's, just knows that he's like a proper rough seaman. And the three of them having to go out and deal with each other just creates fantastic conflict. And of course, Spielberg has learned from the best. I mean, if you watch The Fabelmans, it's John Ford, it's David Lynch playing John Ford. Is someone who's a huge inspiration for him, who's directed huge classics like The Searchers. And those sort of classic old school Hollywood, conflicts and character dynamics are absolutely at play in Spielberg's film, and it's there entrenched in 1975, and it's there entrenched, 50 years later when he makes, things like Fabelmans or even like his Bridge of Spies, which I saw last night. Right? Those sort of classic character conflicts, which he's so good at directing and so good at staging as well, which is why Spielberg's so influential there. And what I really love as well, I'll say this one last thing about Jaws before we talk about another film, because we've got a lot to get through, because Spielberg's made so many films.
So many.
The one thing I really love about it is that, okay, yes, the shark is the monster in the film and has killed people, okay? But the true villain of the piece is the mayor. The mayor is a terrible guy. Yeah. And it's, once again, even, 50 plus years ago, he's still making a commentary on pure greed, and capitalistic greed is going to put people in danger and is going to get people killed. And that mayor, wanting to keep that beach open for the 4th of July, he's such a slimy character, and he's played so well by Murray Hamilton, right? I think he's actually a really underrated piece of the whole film, because I just think he's such a nasty bit of work.
It's the villains where they are blatantly aware of the issue and just choose to avoid it. I mean,
absolutely.
It's obviously you said like bear obsession. We talked about how he blatantly knows what's happening, chooses to avoid it, and I think that's what makes the best villains. And the mayor from Jaws is that. Just it's the. Gosh, I haven't seen Jaws in a couple of years now. It's terrible because I own it and I should watch it because I love it. But it's like they get like a tiger shark or a bull shark or something like that. That they feel that it is it. And he goes, no, we've got one. We've caught a shark. That's all we need to know.
That's
like it doesn't matter if it's the right shark or not, but we've caught a shark. Yeah. And it's like, and because they even cut up the stomach and they're like, there's no proof. He goes, it's a shark. We've caught it. I can say it. Yeah, perfect.
Yeah, and I think all the characters, that once again, that trio of Roy Scheider, Richard Dreyfuss, and Robert Shaw are just fantastic together, and just brilliantly play off each other. And of course, the fantastic monologue scene of Quint's monologue in the boat, where he describes what happened in World War II when his boat gets destroyed and hit by a Japanese torpedo, and then them all getting picked off one by one. It's just absolutely captivating stuff. So yeah, I'm gonna go for Jaws there. And I'll very quickly talk about Schindler's List. Obviously, completely different type of subject matter, far more, emotionally powerful and haunting. And the thing I've said about Schindler's List in the past as well is that I feel like it's a really important film, because I think because it's not just about the Holocaust, it's sort of the engineering of the Holocaust, everything that kind of went around it, how, like, it wasn't just Jewish people that the Nazis were trying to take in, the systems in place to try and slowly pick apart the Jewish communities and then send them off to the concentration camps. It picks all that apart, as well as dealing with a really miraculous story and a really beautiful story in Oskar Schindler, who at the beginning of the film as well, he's, indulging Nazi officers. He's, playing the game. He's going to these dinner parties. He is a member of the Nazi party at the beginning of the film. But then when he comes face to face with these human horrors, you then begin that character arc, and it's about the liquidation of the Jewish ghettos in Poland and Krakow. That that realization comes to him, and he realizes, oh my God, I now realize what I'm a part of, and then he has to try and save these people. And that just creates for such a captivating watch. Not to just mention, Ray Fiennes is a fantastic villain in this, and also Ben Kingsley as well has really quite a beautiful performance. And Liam Neeson has never been better. people kind of forget how great a dramatic actor Liam Neeson is, and he's utterly fantastic in this.
Yeah.
And I think it's the only film Spielberg has ever casted him in. Got him an Oscar nomination and has never really used him again, weirdly enough. And the one thing as well, what I really love about it is that Schindler is doing these things right, kind of, sometimes not just under the Nazis' noses, right in front of their faces. Trying to help these Jewish people. And they're so moronic and can't possibly deal with the idea that someone on their side might be betraying them because of their arrogance. I just think it's really brilliant, and the ending is really, really powerful as well. Anyway, Kel, sorry. What is
Sorry,
your
I was just saying.
Spielberg?
I'm just gonna quickly jump in. We are getting good reviews because the embargo for Disclosure Day lifted about 10 minutes ago,
okay,
and I
okay.
did do a quick Twitter thing, so we're not
Okay,
getting it's not bad. We're getting good. Right,
good.
okay. This is I'm gonna chuck two out there.
Okay, same as me. Same as me.
One that is a kind of more recent favourite, I would say.
Yeah.
Weirdly enough, yeah, one that both my picks are from either very, very on or very, very recent, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think yours were more in the same 20 years. I think mine have a more of a 50-year span. More very recently, just because of Disclosure Day, I did watch Close Encounters of the Third Kind, and I absolutely loved that film.
Yeah,
now,
fantastic.
One thing, and this is, I'm going to preach physical media here because Close Encounters of the Third Kind has 3 different styles. It's got the theatrical release, the special edition, and the director's cut, right? And I remember I was sitting down.
Which one do you choose?
I was sitting down with Hannah. She goes, "Which one should we choose?" I'm like, "What do you mean? Which one do we choose? We're not gonna. you're gonna say no to the director's cut? It's Steven Spielberg." It's like no. But what's really good within the physical media is you can turn on like an X-ray vision, and it will tell you which scenes are. It'll go, this is in the director's cut.
Okay,
and then it'll be like, and this is what it, and this isn't, so this is what it was really cut to, right? And we were very much like, well, I want to see what's in the special edition. And you see, and I went to the special edition, there's only like a one scene more, and so obviously, spoilers for Close Encounters of the Third Kind, but there's a Close Encounters of the Third Kind. A really wonderful film that really kind of shows the kind of curiosity of humans and the lengths they'll go to and the kind of wonders of looking up and seeing what's there. But in the theatrical cut and in the director's cut, the lead character, whose name's completely escaped me, doesn't go. You don't see him going into the ship.
Oh, really? Okay, that's the version I've seen.
So you've seen the special edition? No,
yes,
well, sorry, apologies. You see him go into the ship. You don't see the interior of the ship. I should have phrased that better.
I've not. I watched. I remember watching it on Channel 4 around Christmas time. So I don't think it was the director's cut. Then.
I apologize. So I got that. Yeah, sorry. So you have in Ronnie. I want to say, I can't remember his name. I can't remember. Anyway, in this theatrical edition and in the director's cut, you see him walk into the ship. You don't say anything more, right? The studio were like, no, we want to see, we want to see in the ship.
We want to see in the ship, of course.
Yeah.
I mean, just like we want to see the shark.
And Spielberg was kind of like, I don't want to, but okay. So in the special edition, there's a scene where he's in the ship. Really ruins it. Really kind of ruins that kind of final.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah,
right,
see that final. So Spielberg has gone off and said that the final 15 minutes of that film have been the hardest editing he's ever ever done.
Oh, wow.
Because obviously, I don't know if you've seen it recently. It's so. There's very, very little dialogue in those last 15 minutes. It's a lot of movement
it's a lot
and
of people
stuff.
steering at
It's a lot of people
that.
steering and light and sound. So I can understand how difficult it was to film and putting that scene in. It really does kill it. But it was such a good way of seeing the breaks. But anyway, yeah. So I really loved it. I thought it was a really good film. But what I would probably say is my favorite. And it's his up till now. It's his most recent one, The Fabelmans.
The Fabelmans. That is, I've written that as one of my. I've got 2 for underrated, and that is one of my underrated films. Is The Fabelmans.
The Fabelmans is I don't tend to get emotional in films unless they're really really bad. But the last emotional film I probably watched was like Venom 3, but that was pure emotion. But yeah, when I saw The Fabelmans and I went to see it with my dad. I was like, do you want to go see it? And we watched it, and we were just like, this jaw-dropping guts on the floor emotions of Spielberg. It is how much of it's a biopic we'll never know, but obviously it's inspired by his life, and obviously from what is public record, we do know that some of this is very true. We follow Sammy, I'm pretty sure is what he's called in it, is it?
Yes,
Sammy, yeah, Sammy.
Yep.
Sammy Fableman, and his kind of journey through life and learning to film and finding his love through his film. And I mean, I just think the entire cast of this film is so good, and I'm not saying that it's not the same for any other Spielberg film, because that's rubbish, because a lot of his films are so good, but Michelle Williams, Paul Dano, and even Seth Rogen, who is never he's not always the greatest actor of all time, but and seeing the kind of prejudice he goes through being Jewish, and that will probably come into one of my other films I'll talk about later, which he maybe goes on the other side of the thing, and I remember watching it, and I just, like, it's somebody who's like loving film and watching one of the greats essentially discover that love for the film. It's like it's like watching a film about Van Gogh learning to paint. You can't not love it. You can't not sit there and go, and obviously see at the end, man, meeting John Ford and that wee David Lynch cameo.
David Lynch cameo
was
amazing. My jaw hit the floor when I saw that. I was like, I can't believe this is happening.
My dad was like, Is that David Lynch? I was like, I think it is. And just see the final scene of that film is perfect, where he walks into the studio backlot, and the shot adjusts itself because David and it's Spielberg learned. It's so meta at times.
It's clever. It's
and
so clever.
I find it such a truly lovely emotional story. Yeah. And I think that's why it's my favourite, is because it's his origin story almost.
Yeah, it is. And also it's interesting to see with him wrestle with the fact of how cinema and he becomes obsessed with it, and how that's actually ruined sort of relationships and aspects of his life. Like, there's a really hot, like, the scene where there's no dialogue, and okay, some spoilers for the Fablemans, okay, but it's kind of based on his own lives. But the scene where he figures out that his mum is cheating on his dad there's no dialogues, all through him editing his like summer film, it's such a gut punch. It's such a gut punch. It's so brilliantly put together, all just close-ups, clever editing, and then him slowly piecing together and winding back the footage, and then also the scene where there is a big family argument and his sisters are like crying, and all he can think to do is pick up his film camera and make a film out of it. It's like, it's so sad. It's so sad. And then not to mention the whole bully thing, where he's being bullied by this kid in school, and I'm not gonna mention what happens with this, right? Because I think it's so powerful not knowing what he ends up doing at the graduation or the prom with that character is, like, once again, like, I think the character poses the question, right? I'm not going to say it word for word what kind of question they ask, but it's like, why did you do that? And even he doesn't really have the answers to it, but like, he just knows what looks good on film. And yeah, I think it has so many big emotional, powerful moments, and a lot of it comes down to it's the relationship between mother and son. Yes, there's all these odes to classic films, and where did he pick up those ideas and those shots for, like, when he makes Raiders and stuff like that? Yeah. And where did he get that inspiration from? Him, like, filming stuff and, like, war films when he was in the Boy Scouts, suddenly transforming into something like Saving Private Ryan in the future. That is that core emotional story about mother and son, and that friction between them. I think is really, really powerful. And like you're saying, the ending as well is absolutely fantastic, and it's so underrated. It's such an underrated film, in my opinion. I think it's fantastic, and it's definitely in my top 10 Spielberg film list. But yeah, okay, Kel. So we've done our favourites, right? Let's jump to the other end, right?
The other end of the spectrum.
Let's do our least favourite Spielberg films, and I think we might have the same one here. I'm going to let you go first, just in case you don't have the same one as me, right? Okay. But what have you put?
Mine's going to be Ready Player One.
Right, okay, that's not my least favourite. Okay, Ready Player One, interesting.
Are you? Okay. I'm suspecting I know what yours is gonna be.
I mean, Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
Crystal Skull. It's Crystal
Yeah, it's
Skull,
Crystal
guys.
Skull,
We'll get
but,
to it.
I'll-
On my list, Ready Player One is my second least favorite.
Yeah,
Actually, so
I mean,
there's that.
I'll go in briefly on my kind of thoughts for Ready Player One. Now, obviously, when the film got announced, I never actually read the book. I read the book after the film got announced.
Okay, I thought it was the other way around.
And weirdly, no, I read the book before, and weirdly, a lot of people have issues with the book itself, right? Everybody, it is, if you don't like science fiction, fantasy, 80s, and all that kind of stuff, it is really chucking at you, right? It is really forcing the nostalgia at your face. However, I really liked the world, and I really liked the fantasy aspect of it, and it was really, I mean, there's some really cool deep cuts in it, and I really loved it. And the character, because the main character, he's an arse, like he's not likable, and he's so obsessed with this quest. And so when the film got announced, I was like, this is something, this is a challenge, this is definitely a challenge to adapt. And then I saw it, and I was like, you've not followed really anything from the plot, like the book, like the idea. And I remember when I first saw it, and I probably at the time said I liked it, is because it was different enough that I could go in and enjoy it and have, it's like them changing the script of Project Hail Mary to not include an alien. I'm like, I enjoyed it because I have the book. But yeah, it's weirdly, it was weirdly bad looking back, and I've tried to convince myself I've liked it for so many years. And I probably will go and amend a lot of reviews on it, because I think I've really come to go on, I have the book, I've got that, so something that's meant to be like a really difficult quest, where the first one's like this really cool throwback to an old Dungeon Dragons thing, and everybody put like a lot of effort to try and find it out. The first one's a race. And actually, the key to the race is you just drive backwards. I'm like, oh my god.
That's the thing, right? The thing.
Oh.
So you're telling me it's taken people years to try and figure out like the first Easter egg, right?
Yeah.
And people can't do it. And it's like millions and millions of people have tried, and no one had ever
fought just to drive backwards.
Just drive backwards.
Yeah.
Like people just do that on a, like to troll anyway.
Yeah,
like
and
that's
and,
just
and
that's the most unbelievable thing.
And in the movie, it's like as soon as that's done, they all like immediately know it. See in the book, it's like they get given the clue, and it's like 6 months later, they're like, I'm still staring at this thing, I can't figure it out. And I really like that, because it's like it's these guys aren't perfect, but in this one they're just like immediately go. Yeah, I mean the only credits I would give it is like, I mean, visually it's alright. It's actually not, for as much CGI there is, it's not like uncomfortable. Olivia Cook, I actually think she's a pretty good Artemis. I think that was actually one of the few things they got. Was upset that they didn't keep to the same ending in the book, where the final page is literally the two main characters meeting for the first time in the real world. And they kind of killed that halfway through the book, and I was a bit
because they just I remember, so they meet each other.
I'm like, that's a bit annoying, and everything's anyway. I was just a bit like, come on, like I was wondering why you did it like this, and if you didn't really appreciate the source material. But even though that, it's just not. I don't know if he was shooting well, and funnily enough, like he, and I've not seen it, but I've heard, and the irony is, in post-production of this film, when they were doing the CGI, he completely made a completely other film, The Post. He did that in the time that they was doing post-production,
an Oscar-nominated film,
and that's just a better film. I've been told, and I imagine I'll watch it someday. But yeah, I'm just, I think for me this trumps Crystal Skull, because I love indie, but I really fell in love with that Ready Player One book at that time, and I was just really excited for it. I think the sting is because it's like if Project Hail Mary was bad, it's like, God, you had it. Screenplay was written for you. So yeah, for me, it's definitely Ready Player One.
I mean, look, Crystal Skull, and okay, I'll very, very quickly talk about why it's bad. Everyone knows why it's not a very good film. I mean, look, from its central mystery about the aliens. Look, we know George Lucas and Spielberg play with the idea of aliens way back in the 80s when India was in its its heyday.
Yeah, the conception of it.
the conception of it, and either you go with the sci-fi thing, or it's just not really what you feel like what Indiana Jones should be, and that sort of continues on to Indy 5. Now, Spielberg didn't really have much involvement in that at all, but which one's worse? People now say Indy 5 these days, but focusing just purely on Indy 4, I understand, like, okay, we're sitting in the 1950s, so we're trying to have like a space race thing going on. Okay, fine. I just think everything from the visuals of it, it's not a very... Spielberg is really good at shooting films and blending visual effects. Indy 4 is not aged that well.
No, it really hasn't.
And especially that the set pieces are just absolutely nothing compared to what was originally done in the first three. I mean, now Indy's an old man, so I guess they're trying to make it a bit more standard. Oh, he's got to settle down, so we'll bring Marion back. I don't know, the Marion thing, I think they're both good. I mean, of course, Harrison Ford is a fantastic actor as well. I don't know, the Marion thing, I was kind of like... I've never really been that sold on it. And I think, okay, yes, it can work, but I just think what they're given doesn't really make me believe in it that much, or like care even that much that she's back. And that's really what it boils down to. I'm not opposed to the idea of her coming back and them settling down, but there needed to be more to it. And I actually think, weirdly enough, the ending of Indy 5, where there's very little dialogue between them and she appears in like the last 2 minutes, and because there's more weight to why they separated again in Indy 5, I feel like maybe it needed more weight. It's way too jovial for me, and it feels like that's what the relationship was back, 30 years ago or 25 years ago, but they're more mature now, they're trying to play that whole thing. What are you saying?
I was about to say, this is just my view on Indy 4, where my thing is, and this is where I come to like any sort of fantasy, is like, I'm fine with a fantasy, like a series, a franchise, or whatever. You have one or two things. You could have religious magic, or you can have aliens.
Not both.
I don't like it when they mix both. Right,
okay.
And I really love it. It's like, imagine you played Uncharted, Lewis, and then they chuck an alien into it. What would you have felt? You'd have been like, what? Why are we doing this? Where we get a lot of kind of mystical magic elements in the first three. Some of them very close to religious movements. The Ark of the Covenant and the
Holy Grail.
The Holy Grail.
Then,
obviously, the middle one's a bit of a fun of it side adventure.
More Hinduism and stuff like that.
Yeah, and I like that. Then you then you give us aliens, and then I know you said not 5 as well, because obviously that 5's not Spielberg, but we get aliens, and I was a bit like, and then you get a big UFO, and I'm like, Spielberg, I know you like a UFO. We know that.
He does, clearly.
You know it. But you wouldn't have chucked a UFO into Jaws, so why are you chucking a UFO into...
Could you imagine?
It's just like, there must be somebody out there that's just going, like, putting a UFO into every Spielberg film, because that's clearly what he wants.
Yeah,
like,
he loves it. He loves it.
Catch Me If You Can, but Leonardo DiCaprio gets away by jumping on the UFO at the end of the film. Like, I know that's a really bitter thing, but that's what kind of annoys me with the franchise, is I like... it's two things I really feel struggle to mix.
Yeah. Okay, no, I completely agree with that, because the original trilogy is so entrenched in that, old like magic,
the archaeological stuff makes more sense when you've got the history behind it, and then when you've got history that real people can kind of go and look up and be like, that's so cool, and then the Crystal Skull's not a thing. Ark of the Covenant's a thing. The Holy Grail's a thing. John, oh my goodness, what's the late actor called? John Hurt. John Hurt holding a Crystal Skull. That's not a thing.
Yeah, I agree. And I just also, like I'm saying, it doesn't look great visually anymore. It's not aged. It's just not aged well. We didn't talk about. Yeah, and the moles and the new king of the fridge and Shia LaBeouf.
Look here, that's the only reason I put number 5 above it, is because they killed off Shia LaBeouf in that film.
Provided with Harrison Ford, a really fantastic piece of acting as well. When he has to deliver that.
You do like that scene, I know you do.
I do. I think it's so good in that scene. But yeah, and Shia LaBeouf, and because the thing is, the Shia LaBeouf, right, and we're gonna move on in just a second, right, but it feels like a backdoor pilot. It just gives
Or
that
it's-
energy.
It's
It gives that energy of them.
it's,
It's something that Disney would do now, even though they didn't
It's,
even own
what's
indie
it-
back then.
Shroot Farms, the Shroot Farms episodes from
Yes.
The Office, the
Yes.
most backdoor pilot I could ever see.
Yeah.
And you're like, are we gonna have a wee Shia LaBeouf Indiana Jones trilogy? Especially at the end, when he picks up the hat and he's like,
Yes.
"Not yet, kids."
Yeah.
And I'm like,
yeah.
I'm expecting the mouse to walk past and just go.
And look, I actually think Shia LaBeouf is. Well, back
Oh, he's
then,
fine in it.
Shia
Yeah.
LaBeouf's a completely different person now, but back then, yeah, I think he sells it pretty well. But it's just once again, it's that script. I think it's kind of all over the place, and it doesn't really feel like. Yeah, it feels like Spielberg directed it, but it kind of feels like Spielberg, like, if he like couldn't be arsed. That's what it feels like.
Yeah.
Anyway, that'll bring us to overrated then. So, Kyle, what are you feeling for overrated? His most overrated film, because he's made a lot of films.
I mean, this is a really difficult one, man. Like I'm honestly probably gonna put it. There's a period of time that we were discussing. I might just chuck it into that period of time. It's hard enough for me, but there was one I have seen that I'm just like, I think gets a lot of love, especially as a cult following. That I really don't feel is particularly great as a director's point of view, and it's The Adventures of Tintin, right?
The Adventures of Tintin. Okay, I've not. I have to admit, I've not seen it.
It's a fun film, right? And obviously, it's produced by two incredible people in Kathleen Kennedy. We have Steven
Kathleen
Spielberg.
Kennedy's directed most of Spielberg's films. I'm pretty
produced.
Sure. Yeah, produced. Sorry.
Yeah, gosh, she's not directed any of them. It's Peter Jackson had a huge
Yes.
hand in it, and it's a very visual, fun adventure film. And I remember I've watched it, and I'm like, it's all right, it's fine. And I just see people. It's maybe one that's just got a huge cult following, and it's just one that never really kind of sit with me. I don't know if I've never really, it's a French set of books, The Adventures of Tintin.
Yeah.
And Belgian, sorry. Apologies. I just assume anything bad due to the French, but that's finally it's Belgium. And yeah, and obviously it's got some really great animated stuff and things like that, but it's harder for me to imagine a director like that having a huge impact on the visual effects day to day. It's very much like Ready Player One. Like, you can go away and say, like, yeah, get this rendered up and I'll be back. You're not really on the set as much. Yeah, obviously there was motion capture. I won't deny that, guys, right? But just the hype it got around, especially with at the time, I'd say better film and a more emotional film of War Horse was released, and
yeah, War Horse is decent.
I put it above that. It's so hard for me to try and find an overrated film, because I think all these films are apart from a couple, are really, really good overall. What about you? Because this is a really hard one for me. It was overrated.
Yeah, so now this is what I mean with overrated, right? Because this is going to make me sound really bad, right?
Yeah.
But it's a good film. I think this is a good film.
This is the issue. It's hard when you have a really good director like this.
I just don't think it's on the masterpiece status like some people put it on, and that is E.T. Okay.
Do you know what? I was so close with E.T.
Really? Really?
But I thought I was going to get absolutely shunned by you.
No, I think E.T. is like a 7 out of 10.
That's
right.
Okay.
Yeah. I think it's good. I see people in my letterbox and everyone's got like 9s and 10s, and I'm like, oh my god, maybe I'm an idiot. But there's just something about E.T. that I don't know what it is. Like, I've been really emotionally invested in like so many Spielberg films. So many Spielberg films have made me like cry. Saving Private Ryan, Schindler's List, Fabelman's made me tear up. But E.T., I don't know, has never really emotionally pulled me in. And I don't know if because I've not seen it since I was a teenager now. And obviously I've changed a lot since then.
Yeah.
And I've seen E.T. like 3 times like, growing up. I've seen it at good stuff. I remember it very well. But it never really emotionally grabbed me. And the story as well. Like, it's well paced, it's well put together, the score's great. And it absolutely has its moments. The bit on the flying bikes is utterly fantastic. Up against the moon, it is beautiful. That is an iconic shot that cannot be denied, right? But I don't know. At points, I think like maybe the whole governmental aspect of it, and it doesn't have the big, I don't know, like huge set piece moments besides that bike bit that I think maybe just never really, the plot never really grabbed me as much. Look, it has some really funny moments. I love the Halloween costume.
Yeah,
that whole Halloween scene is really
scene.
funny. And obviously the ending is, like I said, you know, it's emotional, but not to the extent where I feel truly moved by E.T. When my mum talks about E.T., she talks about taking my uncle to go see it in the cinema, and he was like in bits. He had to leave early, right? When he was a kid, and I just never had that connection with E.T. And maybe it's something I really need to revisit again now. Probably people listening to this who are big defenders of it, like, absolutely rewatch it again.
I think it's one of those ones because I've looked at E.T. as such as a kids film that I've not gone back to it as much, and I maybe just because we're in the time of Spielberg doing more UFO stuff, I might go back and do it
again.
But I do know, and ironically, obviously, E.T. was supposed to be a sequel to Close Encounters of the Third Kind.
Was it? I actually didn't know that.
Yeah, no, it was the idea. He was going to be an alien. He was going to be one of the small dancing girls, and I say that because that's all the wee aliens from Close Encounters were from a dancing school because they were very light on their feet. But they decided, I think they wanted something. I wouldn't want to watch like a family fun adventure with that kind of alien because the grey it doesn't look as cute. That's what I'm saying.
I agree.
So, but yeah, it's one I probably should go back and re-see. But I mean, him leaving at the end, it never got me as much as a kid. And having obviously seen Close Encounters, I feel Roy leaving his family and all that feels a bit more like what the...
There is... Close Encounters, I think, is more emotionally powerful than the ending of E.T.
Maybe the music as well. Those five
grown
notes,
men now, Kyle. And
maybe that's the issue. But it's a film that I would 100% like future kids. I would show them this film absolutely because I think it's a really it's gonna be a great entry level for them, for Spielberg.
For sure.
I'll go for this, not for Jaws, as the entry level.
Okay, so we're in our last category now. Okay.
Yes.
So Kyle, what is your most underrated Spielberg film? I feel like you mentioned Fabelmans was kind of already one, but what have you labelled as your underrated pick?
I'm gonna go for 2005's Munich as his underrated pick. Now, this is, I'm saying this, but as I'm reading the Wikipedia, apparently it's named the 16th best film of the 21st century. But it's
from what list?
I don't know, but obviously in terms of New York Times, in terms of box office and stuff for obvious reasons. So the reason I watched this is because we watched the film a year or two back, September 5th, which was about
September 5th?
NBC.
Was that last year? That would have been last.
I think it might be 2024. It might be late 2024. I don't know. Anyway, about the 1972 attacks in Munich, and you told me, you were like, "Oh, Spielberg did a really good film about the events after the attack." It's and he was, and you were like,
feature.
You were like, you should go and watch it, and I was like, yeah, I will. And I think it's one of the only times I've used the Paramount Plus account that my parents have. Is because
that's the same. I watched it on. You're a Paramount.
I'm about to say it's my phone. You got the login. I was about to say it's the same account. Sorry, that's quite funny. And so I went and watched it. And I admit, it just because it was at work. It was it had to be over a couple of days, but it did really help me. I usually stopped at the end of an assassination, and it would come.
Assassination.
Almost made it episodic in that way. But obviously, the Munich follows Israel's retaliation to the Palestinian militant group attacking it. Which I'm saying this, and I'm like, this is it's a terrible film to choose considering the current climate of the world. But I really like this because we discussed this in the Fabelmans that obviously Spielberg was brought up Jewish, and it is not shy of that, but this is a very anti-Israel, to be specific here. I want to separate the religion and the state. It's a very anti-Israel film, and on the kind of team of assassins led by Eric Bana, who I haven't seen him in much, and it was really nice to see him in this outside of Hulk.
Yeah, he's great.
I can't picture him out of anything outside Hulk, so I was like, oh, this is a really nice film. I could like switch when I think of Eric Bana. I don't think of Ang Lee's Hulk. So yeah, and obviously just kind of them going through as a team, learning to assassinate members of the Pacific Black September, I believe it was called, the terrorist group, and just man, this was such a good film. It was such a powerful one, and I could understand like it being a really difficult film for him to make, and also for him to get support on, because like I said, it's not directly anti-Israel. It's pretty heavy. You know, this wasn't right. Yeah. And
I know. I mean, Spielberg. I know we're kind of getting off track, and I'll talk about the film again in a second. But Spielberg has openly discussed his disdain towards the current Israeli government.
Yeah.
And this film as well. I mean, it's about a man becoming disillusioned by his government after what he's being put through and what he's having to do for them, and then by the end of it, he's rejected by he's completely rejected by that government and by that state. And it's, for me, it's a very, very clear, I mean, almost, God, it came out in 2005 now, it's 20 years old. Like, Spielberg's making a very clear statement on, like, okay, things are going wrong here with this idea of what the Israeli government, Israeli state represents, and this point in time, which the film was set in the 70s. And then, I mean, because there's a whole conversation between Eric Bana's character and I think one of the Palestinian characters, and then in the stairwell
when they they don't know who each other are, or they have suspicions, and that's a really powerful.
It's
scene,
a brilliant scene, and the Palestinian sort of making Eric Bana's character realize, what the lives of the Palestinians are like, and compared to like, and how understand the sort of colonization route of it all. It's really brilliant. It is genuinely brilliant, and it's, like I say, it's aged sadly really well. And I just think as well, it's so interesting to have a Jewish filmmaker and someone who's very proudly Jewish really confronting that. Is really good to see. So I jumped in on your pick.
No,
I'm a big fan of Munich as well.
Yeah, it's honestly one of the more recent. I only watched Munich last year or 2 years ago now, and it really has stuck with me. And I'm glad I took breaks through it, because it's a really heavy film. I'm not usually one for taking breaks in films, but it's just due to the circumstances. But I was really like, by the end of it, and how Eric Bana's character is treated and stuff like that, I was a bit like, whoa. And obviously, take everything with a pinch of salt. It is based off a book, but there is definitely truth to this, and it was definitely something that was kind of making me paint the whole thing in a new light. And I can understand maybe because of the context of the film, and I can understand maybe why it wasn't as big as people, up to, he did, he's known for doing these hard hitters like Schindler's List and even like The Terminal. But for this one, this one just felt a wee bit. It honestly, it felt. I can't believe I'm saying this, comparing it to the Holocaust, but it feels more out of people's comfort zone. Than
I know you mean,
you know what I mean, like,
because the Holocaust is one thing universally everyone understands the horror of that and knows about it, and comes in with a sense of knowledge, whereas this, things are far more complicated. And I mean, look, on this, I'm absolutely completely against the state of Israel and what it represents currently. Try not to get too political here, but
I know it's hard.
But
it's like
for a lot of people, not really for people in Europe or here in Scotland, but like for people in like the US, especially 20 years ago, that could have never been conceived of. Now that is changing now, understanding what's happening right now in Gaza. But like, I couldn't imagine what people would have reacted to like that with someone confronting that 20 years ago. And like I said, Spielberg doesn't go the full tilt. But if he did, I can imagine a lot of people rejecting the film entirely.
Yeah.
But anyway, I'll quickly do my most underrated film.
Yes.
Which is also his second most recent film, and that is West Side Story, his remake of the 60s classic. I think one of the best remakes ever made. I said it, I think it's so much better than the original, in terms of them, not
Culture
putting
appreciation,
white people,
yeah.
culture appreciation, not putting white people in fake tan and thinking they'd get away with it. So yeah, I think but not just because of that, I actually think the choreography, the set pieces, the whole thing is, it's phenomenal. It's the best modern musical I've seen in like the past 10 years. Yeah. It's just so brilliant. I think the reworking of songs works. I think Rachel Ziegler and Ariana DeBose and Mike Feist, remember him from Challengers? Really, this was his big breakout. I think he's utterly phenomenal in it. Yes, it's quite long, but as I'm saying, the numbers, the cinematography of this, it's just utterly phenomenal. It really sort of brought to life the idea that the movie musical can like exist again. And I think it came out the same year as In the Heights as well, which is a really great year for film musicals.
Yeah.
And I just
so it was. It was the same year as In the Heights. And
it's annoying, like, the film didn't do well at the box office, right? Even though Spielberg directing West Side Story remake musical, yes, COVID things were an issue, which is a problem. But it came out the same month as Spider-Man No Way Home, and that broke box office records. So clearly, I actually don't think COVID actually played much of a factor in it, as people like to say it did.
Music. I say musicals recently. Maybe it's just not. How much did I don't know what In the Heights did.
In the Heights, I don't think made a lot of money.
No, but West Side Story only made 76 million.
Yeah, it did not do well.
On a budget of 100 million, which is just
big budget,
an insane. I don't want to say bomb because it wasn't. To be fair, box office for In the Heights, box office was 45, but it was only a budget on 55. So a loss, but not as much of a loss.
Yeah, it wouldn't have been as big a loss as this. And it just frustrates me as well because the Wicked films were so successful, but this is how you do a musical. Vibrant, colourful, every song number has a different shade to it. And yeah, I was just completely enraptured by it. I just think it's so criminally underrated.
Sorry, listen, I don't know if you can hear that. There's mental thunder on my end just happened.
Really? Okay, well.
I just had lightning and thunder. I do apologise if that came up. Well, we may have to move this quickly because I'll have a very nervous dog downstairs I'll need tending soon. Sorry.
Fair enough. Look, I guess the only thing, the Ansel Elgort thing is definitely...
We need to... I know this is a big issue and it's... I can't watch Baby Driver now because it's got him and... whatever the other guy's called.
Kevin Spacey?
Kevin Spacey. You need to let... I don't know. I say separate art from the artist. Really hard in that sense. But yeah, it's a good film though.
I know. It is a great film. It's a fantastic musical. But because of the Thunder and Lightning, I guess we'll have to wrap up there. So thank you, Kyle, for joining me.
Oh, pleasure as always, man. Pleasure as always.
Kyle's itching to get away. But look, we are going to be back next week with Disclosure Day, a full review and spoiler-filled review. I'm going to go check out on Thursday. Just cannot wait for that.
Saturday for me, yes.
Saturday for you. Excellent. Okay.
IMAX.
But I'm IMAX,
IMAX.
IMAX chant on the show. But look, we just gave our opinions on all those Spielberg films, our favourites and our least favourites. But at the end of the day, those were our unwanted opinions. Thank you very much.